Let me get comfortable here. All right, I think we are good. And welcome back, everybody, to the True Crime Talk Show brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name is Brendan.
And I am Malia. Welcome to the show.
Yes, welcome everybody to the show where we talk about, well, your favorite true crime and criminal culture talk show and podcast, where we commit to being honest, intelligent, unscripted, and interesting conversations, bringing information we get, following it to wherever it leads, holding nothing back, and sharing brutal honesty the entire time because we censor nothing.
Talk about everything.
And talk about everything. And I didn't even use a script for that.
We're not supposed to say that on the True Crime Talk Show, though.
Yeah, why not? It's great.
That's a Thought Riot Podcast thing. I think you got it mixed up.
No, I don't think so. So I did see the eclipse today. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. It's not the first one I've seen.
Me either.
So I feel like the last one I saw, it was huge. So I think the first one I ever saw, I was pretty young, and I remember that one being huge, but maybe that was like my young kid brain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where everything seems big. Literally everything is like massive when you're little. But yeah, I thought it was interesting.
That's how I remember it too.
Is being huge.
Yeah. And then I was looking, I was like, this looks tiny. I don't remember it being like this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't happen to see any aliens, although I heard there are a whole bunch of reports of aliens. For real. Like, not joking. A ton of reports of aliens.
Why would aliens care about an eclipse?
I should have put an alien on the thumb. Man, what a fail.
Why would aliens care at all about
opportunity? I don't know. I don't know.
No, I didn't see Haley. I didn't see Haley's comment.
Technically, if you're in an alien spaceship, you could essentially give yourself an eclipse anytime you want. You just position your ship in between a planet and the sun.
What if it's not big enough?
Then you just scoot closer or go back. So that idea that aliens are like obsessed with the eclipse.
Well, I don't think your logic makes much sense, but
are you serious? What are you talking about? All they have to do is position their ship for interplanetary travel, which they can travel from planets to planets already in between a planet and a sun or a star. So I don't think they would be obsessed with the idea of there being an eclipse on Earth, is what I'm getting at.
I think what's logical is that they would like it's when you're from outer space. Yeah. Like, you know, when you travel through outer space and that's like your life, because it would take them forever to get here from somewhere else.
We don't know that.
Well, yeah, sure.
But it depends on what type of travel. So I've looked into this a lot. I was
with
like
as advanced with that as advanced they would have to be able to travel here.
Yeah.
I just don't see them being like, ooh, a moon is covering a sun.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at, is that they could create their own eclipse anytime they want, at any time.
Yeah, you're saying they could just like cast a shadow on the Earth. I get it, but
position their ship in between a star and an Earth. But yeah, and then the shadow would be cast on their ship.
I don't like it.
Okay. Well, we'll move on from that. But I will say, we don't know what type of aliens travel, like how they travel. There's a lot of theories out there, whether they're actually going at the speed of light or if there's been a way to fold light around the ship, then you're not actually traveling at the speed of light because the light is bending around the ship. So technically you're like in an in-between zone. And then if that is real, that technology, I don't think it would take a long time. I've also heard theories that
that'd be pretty
they can
cool.
use light to like boost them. So I don't know if you've ever driven behind like an 18-wheel truck on a motorcycle, but gosh, what's it called? The slipstream. So there is a slipstream of air, and you want to be really careful on a motorcycle because that slipstream can blow you over unless you get inside of it quick enough. But it's like a force that comes around and twirls back and pushes you. And there's this theory out there that if you can learn to bend light, that could also be used in a similar theory of motion, where the light is propelling you because it's trying to fill a space that isn't there. So if that's the case, I think you could travel almost anywhere, like, you know, really quick. But
that's very
anyways,
sciencey and cool.
tin hat off. I love science. What can I say? But yeah, we got some details to get into today. I know that you were talking about the Sebastian Rogers case a little bit, and how it seems like there's some big questions coming into play with the birth father, right? People are starting to question him. Us talking about it does not mean that I am questioning him.
So
I have no idea about any of them. I think they could all be equally guilty, if I'm being honest.
That's been going on for a while now, okay? That's not anything new. It just isn't to the extent that, like, what's happening with Chris and Katie, it's not to that extent. But people have like dug up you know, the reports Katie made against, you know, Seth, claiming that he hit Sebastian and all of that, and people have dug that up and started criticizing him and looking at him.
But we knew about those, so you don't think it's anything new? Like, where I'm going with this and why I asked that question is because we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but why do you think that's starting to catch steam? And
I never said it was catching steam.
I mean, it is. I'm not saying that you're saying that. It is catching steam because we're seeing more content be produced about it. We're seeing more people asking the questions. We're seeing more than we did a week ago, you know, focused on him. Now, I do think part of that could be because he's come out in the public. And that tends to happen. Now, I also advocate for people coming out in the public too, because there's always going to be a percentage of people that don't like what you're saying. It doesn't matter. You just got to ignore that. Like Joe Rogan says, he talks about content creation in general. And he's like, look, I feel like everyone should get out there and say their piece, but never read the comments, because no comments take you anywhere good. Right. So when you're a parent in a situation like that, I think coming out in the public did a good thing. The majority of the public had been able to relate with him, have been able to understand what he's going through, and want to help him the best they can. There's been some success around that. But it also opens up a little bit of window for people to push out questions and concerns possibly about his past in this situation. But what's interesting is, like, another thing I'm looking for is, has any new information come out? Because technically he threw himself under the bus. He's the one who presented this information. He's the reason everybody knew to go looking for it.
He's been pretty transparent this entire time, which is a big indicator to me that he has done nothing wrong.
Normally, yeah.
Normally,
statistically,
yes.
It tends to be like that. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I guess some people have sort of turned on him a little bit because of him sharing the sexual assault of his son. And, you know, I said my piece on that the other night. I think there's nothing wrong with it. And if people act like, oh no, that's supposed to be secret, that's embarrassing, like, don't talk about that, don't share that about him, so embarrassing, I think that just breeds an environment of shame and to literally, you're essentially telling Sebastian to feel ashamed of what happened to him. And that's not fair. It's not his fault. Losing control of your own bodily autonomy because of the choice of another is not your fault. You had nothing to do with that choice. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how reckless you are. It doesn't matter. That doesn't give anybody the right to assault you.
Yeah, if someone wants to debate it, I mean, you guys, and this isn't an aggressive
invitation. There's just no point.
It's an open invitation to come talk to me, me being a person who literally went through that myself, and I've shared it almost every time we've talked about the Sebastian Rogers case, just because part of the reason I share that information is because I feel like it gives us a little bit more of a platform and understanding for people to be like, oh, wow, okay, so there is some relatability there. You know what I mean? They understand a little bit what's going on. But yeah, I feel the same. And, you know, if somebody feels otherwise, I mean, it's always an open invitation to come have a conversation about it, or, you know, try and figure it out. But I agree with you. I think every little piece of evidence needs to be come out and brought to life in a situation like this, so that law enforcement and people can draw connections. You know, I did want to highlight something. So Jennifer Coffindaffer came out, I don't know if it was today or if it was 2 days ago, but she made a clarifying message on Twitter stating, you know, in the Sebastian Rogers case, that it is not TBI leading the investigation.
Oh, no. Yeah, definitely not. I knew it was the Sumner County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah. So, but what's interesting is TBI is the main law enforcement agency that is getting thrown around right now when talked about. And I don't know
with the Riley Strain case too, and they were not the lead in that case either.
Yeah, and I don't know why I never drew the connection, but you know, Nancy Grace invited the stepfather to come on and do a lie detector test. Okay,
Chris Proudfoot, yeah,
yep, and he came out and said that that TBI told him not to. I didn't draw that connection until now. Okay, so why would TBI tell him not to when TBI is not in control of the investigation? Is that a professional suggestion, a personal suggestion, or is it a made-up suggestion? Because why would TBI have any say? They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't. They don't. And I'm just shocked I didn't make that connection before now. So what was the point in even saying that? Technically, he literally just backed out because of personal, his personal desire.
No, that's obvious. That's obvious, since he's going around also telling other people, I already took one and I passed it. You know, his story changes like the wind, you know, the wind direction.
Sure.
It's 1 minute he hasn't taken one.
Yeah.
Next minute he has. 1 minute he's gonna take one. Next minute he's not.
I'm always concerned about acting like it's obvious though in those situations, because I don't think it's necessarily obvious without evidence. You know what I mean? So,
well, you know, it's like, okay, if you look at the Idaho 4 case, the FBI did not make, well, I don't know. Again, this, I guess people could argue with me about this too. So it's not a good example.
What? I mean,
so
share
TBI,
it.
No, because it's not a good example. Okay. I just meant the FBI wasn't a major key player in making the decisions in the Idaho 4 investigation. But I don't know. I think people have some arguments there that could be to the contrary. And I think that's a big topic in that case, is how much was the FBI involved? I don't know. But in this case specifically, the TBI is supposed to just be
on screen here.
Is supposed to just be assisting. And they seem to assist with literally every missing persons case I've seen so far. Summer Wells, Riley Strain, this case, like they're usually always involved. So But again, they're not the lead. Sumner County Sheriff is. And you know what's interesting is there's if you listen to Nina Gomez, Chris Proudfoot's ex-wife, you know, if you haven't heard her story, you definitely should go check it out. Because she did a very long interview where she talked about her past with him. And while I believe everybody has their own side to the story, and it may not be 100% factual reality, I think there's going to be some truth in it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One thing she said is when he was ordered to give her daughter back, it was a whole ordeal, and his whole family was there waiting in the sheriff parking lot, like the sheriff's department parking lot.
Okay.
And when she pulled up to get her baby, they gave her Faith, okay? And then Chris Proudfoot, got in the driver's seat of her car with all the kids in the car. So her two that were just hers, that were older, and then the baby. And she was like, hurry, get out, you know, telling them to get out. And he was trying to like move the car, like take off or something.
Why was he in her car anyways? That is her property.
Messing with her, and they were live streaming her on Facebook.
Okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. I don't think I've watched that, and that sounds
the Nina
like
interview.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well,
I think I've seen clips of it, but I haven't watched the whole thing.
Okay,
no.
Well, this is one part of it, and then she goes running in the sheriff's department begging for help.
Okay,
and they take her and her kids and they lock her in a room, like she's being detained or something. And they won't let her go. And what the Sumner County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And while she's in there, she's calling her lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And her dad's waiting down the street or something, and she's calling her lawyer. And Chris Proudfoot's mother cuts off her phone because her cell service was through them, like a family plan. So her cell service gets cut off. But she did manage to get in contact with her lawyer for a minute, and her lawyer started calling the Sumner County Sheriff's Office and is telling them, like, hey, this is not okay. This is illegal. And if you continue this, you're going to sacrifice Chris Proudfoot's career in the military. He's in the Navy. Like, this is illegal. You can't do something like this. And
so I'm curious why he had to say to do that.
Well, the military doesn't put up with a lot. Like, if you mess up even on a
military, I'm talking about why would the sheriff's department side with Chris?
Because he has connections and he knows all of them.
Okay, do we know how?
So from what I've heard is Chris Proudfoot has connections within that town. Their family has lived there for a long time. He went to school with some of these people, and they come from money.
Tiny,
they come from money or something like that.
Okay. I'm very familiar with Nashville and the surrounding areas, okay? And there are people that sure have money, but then there's people that have money. And what I mean by that is in multiple towns in the area, for whatever reason in the Nashville area, very rich and prominent families targeted hills and put their house on hills. I'm not going to say the names, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Anybody that is from any of those smaller towns that are around Nashville or have been there at all, literally, you can't drive through them without seeing these houses, okay? So is he from a family like that, or?
I don't personally know, because honestly, like, I know a lot of areas in this area, okay, where Sebastian went missing, but I don't know Hendersonville. I don't know it at all. So I don't personally know. I've only heard what's been rumored. And from what's been rumored is that he has a lot of connections and comes from money, and his family backs him, like, to his own detriment, to the point of them all doing something illegal.
Yeah, I mean, once you start, I mean, there's no stopping. I think that's what makes codependency so dangerous and detrimental to a lot of people. So yeah, I get it. I understand it. I just would like to know a little bit more, though, because it is different saying, we think this is what he comes from. We think he comes from money. We think it's this. We think it's that, to having actual cold, hard, unbiased, objective facts about a situation. Because let's be real here. You can't walk into any courtroom and say, I think this. Okay. All right, cool. Like, step aside. You know what I mean? Let's move on to some actual evidence.
Do you think that if he came from money and was well connected, he would be working like as a contractor on big buildings, like over in Memphis, hours away from his family? Would he be doing that type of job? Or do you
can, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the mob who owned New York through the 30s up until the 70s owned the blue collar industries. That's owned
a good point.
The contracting industries. They owned the trash industries. So yeah, I think you can. You know, there always has to be a boss. And
true.
What better boss than somebody that's family, right? So I can see it. I would just be curious. Look, and I mean, we could dig on this. Lately, with trying to get everything set up with the live and all that stuff, I haven't had as much time as I would like. But a contractor's license is public information, you guys. So if he is a licensed contractor and not a subcontracted contractor, a subcontractor, we should be able to see what he's authorized for, because normally you're not just a general contractor that covers everything, unless I believe there's different specifications. I could be wrong. Someone, you know, that knows that a little bit better, you know, correct me there. But I believe there are different specifications in contracting.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
It is interesting.
But, you know, one thing I wanted to bring up, because I saw a comment, okay, the other day where somebody mentioned, do you remember the kid who got stuck in the fireplace?
No.
He went missing, and they went looking, and they couldn't find him. And finally they found him. I don't think it was his own house, you guys, but you might need to refresh my memory. I believe it was like a house under construction. I'm trying to remember, but I have like a vague memory of the whole thing on the news, but I didn't like look into that case. But he was found in a chimney. Like, he had crawled up in there and got stuck and passed away.
Okay.
Somebody brought that up and was like, there's no, because I've been saying this the whole time. There's no evidence of him leaving that house.
Yeah, I think that's massive. It doesn't make sense.
So is there a place? Okay, there's a neighbor who said that he found Sebastian hiding under his car one time before he went missing. Like, just randomly found him hiding under his car. Was Sebastian the type of kid that liked to hide and get in tight spaces and hide? And was there a false wall or floor? Did they have a chimney? Is there anywhere he could get in and hide and get stuck?
I don't know, but you know, it's interesting.
And pass out or something, so he wasn't yelling for help or anything, or fell and got hurt, you know,
there's a rumor out there right now. Now, I want to be very clear that this is a rumor. Very, very clear. This is a rumor. This is hearsay. This is gossip. This should not be taken as fact. The Proudfoots or whatever, they are trying to sell their house.
Yes. I've heard that too. That they're putting it on the market.
Interesting.
Really interesting.
Everything that I'm hearing from them, you guys, everything that I'm hearing and or seeing from them feels very final. I think I used that word last time, that all the decisions I'm seeing them make are the decisions I would expect to see somebody make when they've lost a kid and they know it. Let me put it that
Agreed.
way. Their decisions align perfectly for somebody like, you know, the Idaho 4 victims' families, right? I don't want to be around here anymore. This reminds me of my kid. We're selling everything and going. You know what I mean? A victim's family.
Yeah, they're not looking, because this is how it comes off. Okay. I'm not saying this is what it is, but this is how it comes off is you're not looking for something that's not lost. Like it's not lost to you. It's not missing to you. So you're not looking for it.
I agree.
You know it's gone already.
That's
how it feels.
My big question is what kind of lost is it? Why are they trying to sell their house? Like where are they going? Are they moving out of state? Are we never going to see them again once this house is sold? And really they have Sebastian with them and this whole story has been twisted and manipulated and they just never wanted to give him up?
You know, another really weird theory that's going around, and I know Seth is looking into this, is that he was taken to some kind of institution. And with HIPAA, I think with HIPAA, I think there's certain things that they could reach out if there was a case like this. I think there are.
No, not if the birth father is not the primary parent. No. There are no rights that legally says he must be notified.
He has 50-50, I thought.
It's whatever's on the paperwork. That's what they can say, that they've worked out a deal for 50-50, but they went to court. There is something on the paperwork. And based on the fact that he stays at her house during school time and he only goes to his father's on the weekends and stuff, I say he's not the primary based on my understanding of how that works. The primary is normally the parent that the child stays with during school. Right.
So
the majority of the time, right?
I know Seth is looking into that, and he's got somebody helping him look for that. I would think the facility would report it.
I sure hope so.
Because that's super wrong. I mean, look at all this money. Look at all this money being wasted looking for a kid who may not be missing. Like if he's in a facility, I feel like it's their duty to report it. But
I sure hope
and they're supposed to report crimes. Like HIPAA doesn't stop them from reporting a crime.
But is it a crime if the parent puts him in there?
I mean,
so I had a friend.
It's a false report of a crime. Absolutely. They're falsely reporting a crime. They're the ones who reported it.
Or that never happened. We don't have a 911 call. There is no 911 call. So I had a friend who was a troublemaker with me, but his parents were super strict. And at 15, I don't even remember what we got in trouble for. We got in trouble for something pretty serious. I don't know. I wish I had a cool story for you guys, but I don't remember. Anyways, they sent him to a military school in Mexico ran by Americans. Yeah. They used English. It was American, teachers and managing on site and everything like that. Yeah. Yeah. So they're out there. I know for a fact. I have experienced them firsthand, and he didn't come back for 3 years until he was like 17 and a half, which was the age
considered
cutoff.
Missing? Did they report their son missing?
I have no idea.
No.
Okay, but what I'm saying is we don't actually know they reported him missing.
I get what you're saying.
So
but wouldn't Seth come out and say they're lying? They never called anybody and never reported him missing.
Listen, I don't know. There are
would.
So many gray area gaps. I don't know. That's why it's a think tank. That's why it's chewing on these ideas, seeing if there's any possibility of these being true or real. You know what I mean? It's interesting there isn't a 911 call. I think we've already predetermined on a previous video that is not common. A parent with a missing child of any kind calls quick unless there's something shady going on, like Madeline Soto. You know what I mean? It's obvious.
Is it super far-fetched to considering that the grandparents went to Alaska 2 days after he went missing, which is weird. If I had a kid and their kid, like my grandchild went missing, I would not leave town.
Never felt weird to me.
I think it's weird. I would not leave town because they would need help. They need support. Like a missing kid is a big deal.
It's never felt weird to me because look, what does that matter that they went to Alaska? It's not like you can throw a body in a backpack and let's go.
No, what I'm saying is, could they have taken him to a facility in Alaska?
Got it.
Or Canada?
Got it. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That is interesting.
What if they were really concerned about his trauma and him possibly becoming,
I agree with you,
becoming a predator himself, which is awful to think about. And I don't even want to suggest that's what's happening here. But what if that's what they thought? What if that's what they thought was happening? So they took him to a place that's like some kind of institution.
No, I think that's an awesome call out. I wasn't connecting it like that before, but yeah, I'm telling you, I think that is a possibility. And you know,
is it far-fetched?
Certain states,
maybe a little,
certain communities, certain law enforcement agencies have this idea that it is beneficial for them to leave the public out. And this, ever since our war on drugs and the separation of law enforcement and the general public and society, has made this worse and worse and worse and worse. And the gap of communication between the general public and law enforcement is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know firsthand, a lot of people believe like, hey, if we leave the public out of it, then we can actually get some work done. You know what I mean? And then that best serves everybody anyway. So I don't think it's a bad faith reason they do it, but this is the outcome here. This is what ends up happening. And it totally bypasses the idea and understanding that our taxpayers our tax dollars pay for that. Like, we are deserved that information. And I understand some people out there will make the argument, I mean, you're not deserved anything. They don't have to tell you. I got it. I hear you, but I pay for it. Okay. So I feel like my opinion about being deserved to hold them accountable and have knowledge of what's going on after we're past the point of investigation and it can't hinder an investigation, things like that. I think that's deserved. I truly do, you know, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, and while I feel like this whole scenario with him maybe being taken to some kind of institution and reported missing, it may feel far-fetched, but you know what else feels really far-fetched?
Oh, hey, Jules is in here. Is that actually Jules?
It looks like Jules, but I don't know. Hi, Jules, if that's you.
Yeah, hello.
Hope you're having a good night.
Anyone watching, Jules is a true crime creator, and you should check out her content. Hope you're having a good night. Yes, hello. And we get some people in our chat that like to change their names, you know, as they're chatting. So hope you're having a good night. You guys should check her out. Great content.
There's a lot of people that like to change their names in the chat.
I know it. I know it. But yeah, so okay, so totally off topic. Where were we going with that?
I was saying it may feel really far-fetched that they could take him to some institution and he could be reported missing, but it could be something that slowly spins out of control, if you know what I mean. Like, how do we explain this to Seth? Seth would never allow this. And it just slowly becomes like the snowball effect of a lie. Like, we all know that. But you know what else feels really far-fetched is literally Nina Gomez's whole story. That's why I'm like, I know there's every side to a story, so I'm not sure I 100% just believe her, because one, even though I think it's really brave for her to come forward and talk about it, I think everyone sees things through their own filter, and they may not see their own part that they played in a situation, and can be very slanted one way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, I feel like there's truth in that story, and it is extremely far-fetched to manipulate your wife to move across country to where your family lives just to steal your guys' baby and have a restraining order served to her. Like that, what?
Yeah, no, I hear
that
you.
Is so crazy.
No,
like so beyond.
the level of commitment
and
to
planning.
control in the situation is so far outside of what is common and expected in these situations. I agree with you, and I felt the same way. It feels very with intent to cause the most harm possible.
Yeah,
that's how it feels like we're already going to take the child, right? But how can we do it with the biggest ha-ha possible?
And
you know
cause
what
the
I mean?
most distress in her. Like, imagine as like a new mother that happening. That's
So I had a friend that used to deliver lawsuits to serve people, right? And tons of funny stories, like endless amount of funny stories. But you don't have to be present when you're serving somebody with a lawsuit. There are people out there that have crazy skills to get it done. All you have to do is confirm you. They can be waiting behind you in line in a grocery store, and the grocery store clerk asks you if this is you, and that's good enough. Like all kinds of stuff just to confirm that they're serving the right person. So the fact that they were present there, trying to or offering her to move across the states, and then doing it in front of her face, it feels like they were trying to just harm her.
Yeah, it feels like they were legitimately trying to hurt her.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like,
I agree with you.
There's
give a rundown of who that was too.
Who?
Let me see if I can pull up a picture.
Nina?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Chris Proudfoot's latest ex-wife. I think he's been married 5 times. I believe Katie Proudfoot is his 5th wife, and Nina was his 4th.
Wait, 5?
Yeah. Katie is his 5th wife. And you know, when he was doing the Smiley Stories interview, yeah, that is her.
Okay.
On the right.
Let me see if I can pull this up. So it looks like this is a JLR thumb here, but oh wait, here we go.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
That's good too. That explains. Here we go.
So when he was doing this, like Chris and Katie called into the Smiley Stories show, like when she was live a while back, and there were people in the comments saying like they knew what he did to Rachel, and he explained that was like his 3rd wife, and that she has kids now and they still talk and are like good and everything. But people were in the comments saying like he literally almost killed her and stuff, saying they knew what he did to her.
My only concern is like
there's a lot of rumors about his past.
Okay, that's exactly where I was going with it. Is we've talked about this a lot, and I think it's important to talk about the rumors, you guys, because like there are people out there that are like, nope, I don't want to hear any subjectivity. I don't want to hear any rumors. I don't want to hear any gossip. And they'll just let that blow right past them. Then there's people that want to hear everything, right? So I think there's a lot of benefit in at least like saying, yeah, we have heard this. We have heard this statement. We have heard this claim. This is where it loses the objectivity in it and why it should be taken, you know, obviously and openly as hearsay and gossip. Now, gossip doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. I'm not saying that. We just don't have any evidence to back that up.
Yeah, but also no evidence doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. I think it could be. I think it could be true, especially with like him backhanding Nina's daughter and all the other things he's done. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. It seems like he has like a history of being very controlling. So can you pull up Twitter real quick?
Yeah, I can.
Because Jennifer Coffindaffer posted something a few hours ago. And it looks like a body has been found in Kingsport, Tennessee, which is a good distance from Hendersonville, like a pretty good distance. So I'm not saying it's Sebastian. I mean, I would hope to God it's not. You know, the last one that was found ended up being a homeless man, like somewhere in the outer Nashville area, I believe. But
all right, here we go. This right here, right?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. So hang on. So
there's literally
this
no
is
details.
concerning human remains found in Tennessee on a property in Kingsport. Kingsport is in Sullivan County, Tennessee. No more details. In case your mind is going where mine did, here's a map. Okay. Yeah, so pretty far out. So I wonder who found it, man. So they're waiting on more news. Let's see here.
Somebody just said they're female.
It's a female. Okay.
Somebody just, does it say in that article right there?
Here, let's see.
No, it doesn't say in that article.
So Kingsport, Tennessee, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office reports human remains were found on the property on Kingsport Sunday afternoon. A news release from SCSO Monday said the remains were located in the Kingsport area of the county. No approximate location or street name was provided. The release said the remains were investigated on site by SCSO, investigators and representatives from the Williams L. Jenkins Forensic Center before being sent to the Forensic Center for evaluation and identification. The SCSO said the investigation and the discovery is ongoing and further information will be released when it's available. It is a developing story. Yeah, so
I
interesting.
just randomly saw a comment where somebody said it was a female. So I don't know, that's not confirmed, but that's the rumor right now. I understand people's issues with Coffin Daffer. I totally get it. Okay. I'm not going to lie. Like some of the things she said in the Kohberger case have really rubbed me wrong, but she is like a very active advocate, like on Twitter.
She's a very active Twitter.
She's she's a very active on Twitter. She's always bringing awareness to cases, and she's I don't know, she's kind of like the news on Twitter.
No.
Like that's her whole thing.
Her opinion is very one-sided to the boys in blue.
It's very biased.
Regardless of, what's going on in the situation. The good faith always leans towards law enforcement, whereas I try really hard to not let any bias lean one way or the other. I try really hard to stay in the middle. But the information and connections she has, being ex-FBI, those are connections that help give us information in cases. So I don't see any problem with her. That her opinion is the type of opinion we advocate for on our platform. Like, I don't want people to believe everything that we believe. I don't want people to be against anybody's opinion that might oppose or be opposite. I don't think that's healthy for
to be fair, she has called out the police many times.
Oh, for sure.
I've seen her go super hard on police.
Yeah.
Like super hard.
Yeah.
I just think that usually when she's going really hard on police, it's a situation where it's undeniable. There is no argument.
Sure.
It is point blank.
A good example is the Karen Reed case.
No cover up.
She is hardcore on the side of police there. I feel like it's interesting for
I feel like it's there. Anytime there's like conspiracy surrounding it, she leans police. Backing the police. But I don't know.
I've always wondered that, Bryce. The last thing I want to do is like come at her sideways. I don't want to come at anyone sideways, but he says also claims to be an expert where she's actually not. She was a firearms expert. I have heard that before. And that's interesting. They need to bring me on as a firearms expert so I can have those kind of connections, be able to have buddies to call up and be like, hey, bro, tell me about this case that's going on.
No, you're a tech expert.
Yeah, but yeah.
And I saw
Jules. And thank you, Bryce. Thank you.
I saw Jules say that the baby was one he didn't even want. Like, and that's true. He didn't want Faith, like, at all. He wanted her to get an abortion and then put her through all of this after. She went through that whole pregnancy alone, completely alone. But yeah, Jules, I wish we had more information on the Rachel thing too.
Yeah.
But maybe he's telling the truth and there's nothing there. I just kind of doubt it.
I've been slowly letting my opinion build up, waiting to see more and waiting to see more and waiting to see more. And I personally am at the point right now where, if law enforcement doesn't start digging back into these areas, it's accountability time. Like it's got to be talked about. It's got to be talked about not passively, but directly. Like law enforcement, you need to explain why you aren't doing these things. Why aren't you doing forensic testing on their house? Why are you not taking a dog into the house and then, you know, lifting up carpets, floorings, things like, I don't know how their house layout is. I don't know if they have a concrete slab that their house is on, if they have a basement. I don't know any of that, but I know that there are a lot of places in houses where small children can be, whether hiding or, you know, more nefarious reasons. So
there's
I
blueprints
think these need to be
online.
Blueprints aren't always good enough, but I hear you.
And pictures.
So I think that they need to go back to those forensic tests. I think they need to focus on some of that testing outside. I think they need to go back to canvassing locally. Look, ask any law enforcement. You start at the crime scene and work out. Okay. And when something's not working and you are now, where'd they find that body? 30 something miles out or 40 miles out or something like that. When you're that far out, okay, why wouldn't you go back to the starting point and rework that again? It's really unlikely when you look at the statistical probabilities of crime in general that you see people being found that far out. Like the statistical likelihood of that, of the further out you go from the crime scene, gets less and less and less and less around the likelihood of finding them.
Yeah.
And you're talking about a kid that probably didn't have somebody to call up and be like, hey, I need a ride. They're saying he didn't take his shoes. They're saying, but they're not picking up a scent of footprints. There's just too much. There's just too much.
There is too much.
It's so much, so many question marks. It makes me wonder if this could be a situation where evidence was slipped out intentionally, not to hinder the investigation. You know what I mean? Because to me, this just feels obvious.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce coming through again, and we appreciate that super chat. She's like
literally
a hired gun. I hear on these media platforms. Yeah, I agree, and I get it. Like,
yeah,
you know, somebody's got to fill that position. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But yeah. What else do we got? So we got the body. No other information on the father. No other information on well, it's good though that they're out that far still looking. It sounds like it was law enforcement who found it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So law enforcement is out there and looking.
I don't know that they were looking for Sebastian in finding that.
Are you sure? What? I thought it was. I thought it was connected directly with the search for Sebastian. Am I wrong?
I mean, it's pretty far away. It doesn't say like they were searching for Sebastian.
Oh, I'm wrong.
Found
yeah,
it.
I read that wrong. My bad, you guys. Totally read that wrong. It just says, in case your mind is going where my mind did, here's a map. There has been no alleged connections to Sebastian Rogers. How many did they find? Didn't they find a body, a corpse when looking for Riley?
Yeah, a woman upstream.
Okay.
They did. And there was a man found too. And he's unidentified.
Oh, they found two?
They found another man.
Oh, wow. Oh, wait, you did talk about that. I remember. Okay.
Yeah, and he was unidentified, but he may have been identified since then. I'm not 100% sure. Honestly, I need to look it up again.
All right. So, any other details around this?
Not really right now. I mean, today's the 43rd day of him missing, and you know, keep his face out there. I think it's weird that the script is kind of being flipped all of a sudden, and some people are like against Seth. I don't know. I don't agree with that. But I don't agree with pointing fingers at anybody. I think it's important to ask the hard questions, ask the right questions, but not pointing fingers, you know? So
Yeah.
we just want to keep, Sebastian's face out there, keep talking about him, so he's not forgotten.
Right.
Another kid that needs to be out there, who I feel
What?
like is being forgotten a little bit, is Elijah Vu.
Here, I'll pull it up.
He's
Give a quick rundown on that. I gotta
still
go to the restroom
missing.
again real quick.
Okay.
So if you want to give a rundown on that, here we go. He's such a cute kid too, and that whole situation
is so sad.
It's so sad. It is so incredibly sad. It kills me. And we covered this. So if you want to give a rundown of the video that we did, because we went into this story, you guys, and talked about the details around the mom and the boyfriend, and they're both in custody. Great, awesome, incredible. But everything leading up to the missing and disappearance of him, oh man, it gets to me. These are the cases that get to me. They hurt me, man. I'll be right back.
Well, you know what's kind of weird is like Madeline Soto and Sebastian Rogers literally went missing the same day. And Elijah Vu, they had the Amber Alert was February 20th. It was only 5 days before these kids, which is weird. That's like the last day he was seen is February 20th, and 5 days later, 2 more kids went missing on the same day. So strange. Tip at gas station in the morning, he was reported. I know. Okay, so basically, if you haven't been following the Elijah Vu case, is he was a 3-year-old last seen around 8 a.m. on February 20th of this year on the 3900th block of oh my gosh, I don't know how to pronounce that. Mishicot Road. I'm trying, okay? In Two Rivers, Wisconsin. He was staying with Jesse Vang, his mom's boyfriend. She supposedly sent him there to make him learn how to be a man, to discipline him at 3 years old, according to her, where he was abused. He was abused. I don't know how, disciplining a 3-year-old is like timeout, or you don't get a candy, because you're being a little jerk. And that is not what happened to this poor little boy. Like, it's so sad. It's so heartbreaking. They were giving him like cold showers, I think there's one where they were making him kneel on rice or something like that. There's really, really awful stuff. But he went missing under his care, and the mom and him were arrested. I think it was on neglect, right? I can't remember the exact charges. I'm trying to look up the exact charges right now. They're on $1,500 bond. I'm trying to remember. So Katrina Bauer, 31, was arrested and charged with party to a crime, child neglect. Yeah, okay. And that was a day after he disappeared. But since then, he's been missing. They have been asking everyone to keep an eye out for his blankie, which I believe has been found. It was like a red and white plaid blankie. And just today, there was an update that they were searching a salvage yard, the Avery's Auto Salvage.
Oh, just today?
Just today, they were searching there. They had a vigil just a few days ago, I think over this weekend, to try to keep his memory alive and keep his face out there. His family, other than his mom, they're working hard to try to find him. They've searched a landfill, and now they're looking at the salvage yard.
What
There's
did
not
they-
been any report of them finding anything there today, though.
What did does it say in there what charges they got?
Neglect. It's child neglect.
Okay. Oh man, so there's enough benefit not to talk there currently because they haven't found him yet. So the actual charges for homicide are not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is wild and a really good call out to bring continued awareness to it. I think any situation that anybody can help when we have children involved is
it's in Wisconsin.
Interesting.
Two Rivers, Wisconsin.
It's important for us to talk about it. Absolutely. Just get the image out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So awesome.
So sad. Avery, no, we're not talking about the Avery case. We're talking about Elijah Vu. I just said they were searching the Avery's auto salvage yard, looking for Elijah Vu.
Yeah, on this missing poster, the reason why I'm pulling this one up and not the official missing poster, because this has a big update here at the bottom, you guys. Birthmark on his left knee. That could be important if you were to find him or something else, right? And we have last seen 2/20/2024 at 8 a.m. near 3900 Mishicot Road in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Clothing: a gray sweatpants, long sleeve dark colored shirt, and red and green dinosaur slip-on shoes. Identifiers: age 3, height 3 feet, weight 50 pounds, hair sandy blonde, eyes brown. Yeah. I think, what is the Avery's? Is that a location?
It's just Avery's Auto Salvage.
Auto Salvage.
It says Town of Gibson. Volunteer searchers have headed to Avery's Auto Salvage.
Got it. I think people are a little bit confused with the Avery.
Well, I mean, I can look up the property.
No, it's okay. We can dig into it.
I think people are thinking about another case is what's going on.
Okay.
It's in Two Rivers, Wisconsin. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I can't say Wisconsin right now. But that's where it is. It's in Two Rivers. So
Wisconsin?
Yep, Wisconsin.
Okay. So we have, is this going to clear up?
No, this thing keeps ripping my hair out.
All right. Here's the official one. Okay.
And thank you very much, Bryce, for the super chat.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we have an update here on another case that we covered. Missing person, Caleb Harris. We covered it, I think on 2 Thought Riot podcasts ago. I think it was not the most recent one, but the one before that, like 35 maybe, I think. And we went into the details of another person who just seemingly up and vanished, literally. And like why we're saying that is because he was just out walking his dog, minutes earlier, right? Minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Give the rundown, because I know you did the research on that. I don't want to say anything wrong.
I mean, as you see on the poster, he was 21 years old. He had a new puppy. So he was out, he was seen on camera and stuff, out playing with it in the parking lot with his friends and everything. And then later he went to walk the dog.
Okay.
And then he ordered Uber Eats and then seemingly left again. And there's these Snapchats where he is sending a picture of the puppy to his sister, and then he sends her a picture of a drainage ditch right by the apartments.
Okay.
And that's his last ping. And then well, no, that's not the last one. Then right after that, it's Like, what was it? 10 minutes later? It's somewhere roughly around there.
I don't
It should
remember
say right there.
Okay,
Doesn't
so
it say right
the
there?
Corpus Christi Police Department
No,
is
don't read it
requesting
all.
the public assistance in locating 21-year-old male Caleb Harris. According to a Snapchat ping, Caleb was last seen at approximately 2:45 a.m. on Monday,
No.
March 4th, 2024, near his apartment complex, The Cottages, in the 1900 block of Ennis Jocelyn Road, near campus of Texas A&M University Corpus Christi in Corpus Christi, Texas, after letting his dog out. Caleb left behind his vehicle, keys, wallet, and ID. Caleb was wearing teal pants and a white shirt. Caleb's phone last pinged at 3 a.m. If you have any information regarding the whereabouts of Caleb Harris, please contact the Corpus Christi Police Department at 361-886-2840.
That's not even accurate. Like, I didn't want you to read that.
Okay, so what's not accurate then?
So at 2:44, he sent a Snapchat video to his sister walking the puppy, okay, in the apartment parking lot, the complex. 3:03, he sends a Snapchat to a high school friend who lives in San Antonio, and he shows a small bridge over a drainage ditch, which is right outside his apartment complex. Then at 3:12, his phone shares its last location data with the nearest cell phone tower. And that's when it's like, oh, wait,
this is not right, though. I just want to be careful because we just walked through the, it's general. So 2:45 a.m. on Monday, he was last seen. So that's like physical location. Sending a text isn't necessarily confirming someone being seen. You know?
Okay. And then so 3:12 is his last shared location, and at 3:20 his Uber Eats is delivered at his apartment, and he's not there to get it.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is really odd.
Yeah, it is.
And last time we were kind of talking about how he could have ended up by that bridge and drainage ditch, and ended up over by that little, it's like by an urgent care and a pain clinic. Which would have taken him what, like 15 minutes?
Walking. I believe so. So have you heard any of the new update?
No.
About putting his hookup life on blast?
No.
Okay, so there's a lot of drama in it, right? And I'm going to do my best to just remove the drama because I don't think that's important. But I do think the information is important. I really do. So apparently, and I'm not judging anyone when I say this. I think those apps are out there for a reason, and they get used every day, all the time by millions of people. But apparently he was he would frequently go meet up with people. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And you get where I'm going with that, like on hookup apps. And his friends had recently brought up that they wondered if he was meeting with somebody that night, and maybe that's why there is no information of him. He left his wallet behind, his keys behind, because a lot of times I think that it's pretty easy to say, hey, I want to meet up with you, do something, whatever, in the car, hop in a car, and then never seen again.
It doesn't sound like hookup apps. It sounds like.
What do you mean?
He used Reddit.
Huh?
So one thing is, if you're using,
but Reddit is an application that has hookup, so I would still classify that.
It has, I do not, because it's a forum. Okay, if you're using a hookup app, most of those like Tinder, they have verification now where you have to upload a picture of your ID. That comes with certain safety things. So a lot of people do not meet somebody unless they're verified and have uploaded a picture of their ID, because that gives you some kind of safety check. Reddit you don't need any of that at all. You don't know who you're meeting at all.
And that,
unless you are really
I don't think
safe.
that's important. I think that somebody on Tinder could end somebody's life in the same way that somebody on Reddit could. I understand where you're going about talking about the safety behind it. However, they are both used equally the same. For anybody listening, I'll give the breakdown of how Reddit works and why me personally, I consider Reddit to be very similar to like Grindr, Tinder, all these other hookup type apps. Is you can go on Reddit and there's different forums, subreddits, right? For anyone that doesn't know Reddit, and you join that subreddit. So let's just say there was a hookup type subreddit for Corpus Christi area, and you join that group, and then you can post in there or see others that have posted saying, you know, looking for a hookup between this time. Here's the description of me and looking for a hookup here. Okay. And you can meet people like that very easily in a very similar fashion to, you know, Grindr or Tinder, except on Reddit, there's more than just hookup subreddits on there. You know what I mean? So yes, I do think that the likelihood that you could meet a psychopath on Reddit is probably increased versus finding one on, you know, Tinder or Grindr. But I think both could.
Grindr.
Yeah. What about it?
So was this like men?
Does it matter?
A little bit, only because not because I care, but because I think it makes it more suspicious to me if he's picked up by a man.
Okay.
Because of serial killers who kill gay men.
Statistically, yeah. I mean, statistically speaking, the serial killer is a
man.
white male in his 30s to 50s or whatever. Yep. And sure, yeah. And yes, he, according to what we have been told and seen and content creators talking about, sure, he was seeing both men and women. Oh, okay. But I don't think that I just don't want to get on the topic of like judging that because I support people that, you know, want to handle their urges in that way. I think we should be allowed to do that as long as everyone is being safe. I think that's what the important factor is here. But what's interesting is that opens up a whole new level of possibility here. And it also, like, why it's important to bring this up is not to put it on blast. I want to find them all the same, even if he was the craziest, kinkiest, whatever. Like that makes no difference to me at all, period, point blank at all. But this could give them a new avenue for law enforcement to look into, because if you're using your phone to talk on an application, any kind of app, right? Whether it's Reddit, whether it's Tinder, whether it's Grindr, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter what it is. They should be able to get that background information, right? They should be able to get into his login and see who he was communicating with. That should give them an avenue to pursue.
His family has been focusing heavily on the cell phone. So it's weird to me that they haven't gotten a lead there.
Okay, so do you know any more details about that? What do you mean they've been focusing on the cell phone?
Like a lot of the interviews I've seen of his dad and like the family friend and everything, they're focused on the cell phone because of the weirdness around it. The fact that there's this picture by a bridge and it's of a drainage ditch, like it seems odd, you know?
Yeah.
The fact that he had food coming and then goes and leaves, like it's just weird and doesn't make sense. But, you know, honestly, his food is specified in the app, drop it off at the door. So he could have been like, oh, this is a quick hookup. They'll drop it off at the door. I'll get back. I'll pick it up, you know, because it's his lunch for the next day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't see that as odd. Also, you know, I did hear his dad say that he was barefoot, like used to being barefoot.
He was used to being barefoot. So
yeah,
he was one of those barefoot people that I talked about.
He was okay.
Okay.
It was not abnormal for him to be barefoot, is what I heard too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I guess the barefoot isn't that weird if he's normally does that. But yeah, I think that is a huge deal. I think that is definitely a huge deal because I think it could very well just be a quick hookup and that's the plan.
Okay. Yeah.
Or maybe it's like somebody he's been talking to for a while and then suddenly they're like, "Hey, I can come pick you up now." All of a sudden out of nowhere and he's like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't give him much time to think about it either. Like, just get over here and I'll pick you up. Well, because him walking outside the apartment complex, that avoids letting his friends see it, for one. For two, it makes it easier for him to find by a car passing by. They don't have to drive in the apartment complex and look for him.
Yeah. 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 I guess going down that safety, since we're talking about this, right? Because I do feel a little bit weird putting that information out in the universe where maybe people didn't know how Reddit works in that way and that there's a hookup Reddit for every city out there. Okay.
Right.
I always suggest to people that you find a friend that unjudgmental friend that doesn't care about stuff like that. And if that's something you want to do, you let them know when you do it. You know, I think having that one contact to be like, hey, anytime you're meeting somebody, let me know. So somebody knows where you're going to be and what you're doing. Right. You don't obviously don't have to go into details or anything like that. Yeah, I think that in a situation like this, that would have been a lead immediately, right? If you just sent a text, hey, just want to let you know I'm about to go out and meet this person. I just want somebody to know.
If he had told somebody, and it, if he had told somebody ahead of time, it would have probably been very, very helpful.
I mean, it can be super quick like that too, as long as you have some kind of contact with somebody, and even if it's a last minute, like, oh, somebody just replied and they can meet right now, whatever. You just let somebody know.
Yeah. It's important to have a safety partner if you plan on going out on dates or anything on your own. And, be shameless about it. Call your safety check-in partner in front of them and make sure they know that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because that will deter them if they're a predator. It will deter them.
Yeah.
They will be like, oh, and make sure you're like, hey, I just wanted to check in with you and let you know I'm here. I'm with this guy. He looks like this, describe him. Like, it may be off-putting, but I feel like it's only going to be off-putting to somebody who's dangerous.
Yeah.
Like somebody who's a nice person who cares, and cares about safety and is like the kind of person you want to be with.
Yeah.
They're not going to look at you sideways for being safe because they know you don't know who they are.
I agree.
And men should do it too, not just women.
Yeah. Yeah. I think anybody, clearly, especially if this theory, and I could be wrong, you guys, but I was looking at some comments. I think Gray Hughes is the one who actually broke this information, but I'm not 100% sure. So don't hate me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying, that I think it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I think that you should have some kind of contact partner to let people know when you're going out like that, and always do it safe. There's always preventative measures you can take. Exactly what you're talking about.
The thing about leaving a note behind is it could take a long time to discover that note. Like, you want someone to actively know where you are.
Yes.
So if something goes wrong, if it, like, you set a time, you say, okay, if I don't call you back in an hour, send the cavalry. Okay. Call 911. Like, you got to have like a set time to call them back to recheck in.
Did I read your message, Bryce? on a
No.
Thought Riot. So Bryce hooking it up again. The food was fish and good. Yeah, I like fish.
What?
I'm about it. That does sound good. I wonder what kind of fish. I think the food was for fishing, right?
No, his food was I think 2 Lunchables and like a Red Bull or something like that.
I thought it was for fishing the next day.
I don't know.
I thought so.
Maybe it was for fishing.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's good. And I think it's great that Gray Hughes.
The food was fish food. Is that what you meant to put?
I think it's great that Gray Hughes did find this, if he's the one who broke it. I haven't watched that episode. I'm gonna put it on my list to watch here. But as long as it's presented right, there's nothing to be ashamed about. You know what I mean? And
no.
I think that if we approach stuff like this, where we act like there's something to be shameful about, we're already putting the label on that it's like shameful, you
like
know?
with Sebastian, yeah.
He was 21. He's probably raging with hormones, you know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
When the public's like, ew, that's shameful. Don't talk about that. Keep it a secret. It creates this vibe of just shame.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, at all.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100%.
Like a son is missing, his family is missing him.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's what matters, is finding him.
It does. It does 100%. But shout out to Gray Hughes for finding that bit of information. I think that is
if it was
good
him.
find. Yeah. If it was him, if this comment's correct. So we appreciate that. That's awesome. And shout out to you.
I hope it helps. I really hope it helps.
I hope it helps too. And I think that we're moving in the direction of technology being the #1 investigative resource in any situation. Criminals tend to take their phones and turn them off. And I mean, that's good for law enforcement, because a lot of times that doesn't do much depending on what apps you have and everything like that.
Turning your phone off doesn't do much?
No, it doesn't. What does it do? We've talked about this so much.
You never said that you can be tracked with your phone off?
Yeah, depending on your phone and everything. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, we have definitely covered that a few times.
Have we?
Oh, yeah. Definitely have. But yeah, I hope he's found. I think that there's too many missing people out there right now. I feel like it's one after another after another.
So, I mean, if he was abducted, what do you think the picture of the drainage ditch is? Do you think that's him trying to give a clue?
Or do you think it's picture?
No. I don't believe that any of those pictures are public. I don't think so.
Okay, could that drainage ditch have been taken while riding passenger in a car?
It doesn't say that. The description of it doesn't say that, but is it possible? Sure. The police could have just left that part out. But I think if they had a car in the picture, that would give them more clues. Like, it wouldn't be as mysterious.
Yeah, and there's nothing in that drainage ditch picture that we know of that is the center of the shot. Like,
it just says it's a picture of a bridge with a drainage ditch. That's all it says. And that he sent it to a friend in San Antonio.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I saw some people in the chat saying they thought it was a taunt, that whoever took him was taunting the police. and that he's going to end up found in water.
That is kind of scary. And for somebody to taunt police in that way, they would have had to have been experienced in doing this. That is not a first timer.
Yep.
A first timer doing something like this wouldn't have the wherewithal to be comfortable enough taunting. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of vanished without a trace, so.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yep, it is.
And really unfortunate. And, you know, if we're going to be talking about and looking down this route of the whole hookup thing, I just hope everyone approaches it respectfully because, dude, we're all humans. We all have these urges.
Yeah.
Nothing's out of the ordinary here. You know what I mean? So it's just really unfortunate if that is what hooked him up with some crazed weirdo.
Right.
That did something really horrible.
It'd be really, really sad.
Yeah. It would be. It would be.
I wish we knew what the picture looked like, guys. The only details I can find around the picture really is that it was just of that bridge. And, you know, we pulled it up on the video where the stream where we talked about Caleb Harris's case.
Oh, I have.
The 1900 block of Enos Jocelyn in Corpus Christi. It's a few hundred feet from the entrance to his apartment complex. And it literally says it's just a bridge over a drainage ditch. Like, that is the picture. And he sent it to an old high school friend who lived in San Antonio. Literally all we know about it.
1900 block of Enos Jocelyn. Okay. Yep, there we go. That's it, right? No? Yeah, Corpus Christi.
You have to go to the right apartment complex.
What was it called again?
The Cottages.
Okay, and here?
There you go. And
This one?
there's the water. You see the waterway. That's where the bridge is.
Right out here.
Yeah. So turn around. You should turn around and look at the apartments. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So then go out and then turn right. And right up here, we should come up to a bridge. Right here. This is it.
Yep.
This is the little bridge over the drainage ditch. That's not a far walk at all.
And this is where the picture was taken that you were, people were wondering if it was a taunt or what?
Yep.
Okay.
This is, yep.
And clearly,
yeah, he didn't have
like
shoes on. He was
spectacular.
Yeah, he didn't have shoes on. He was definitely barefoot.
Yeah. That's really unfortunate.
Really, really, really strange case. But like I said, I hope that information helps the family, you know, get a lead.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, he was along the side of his own apartment complex, literally just walking down the street. Like, that's so close. That is so close by.
Yeah. It is. It definitely is. But I mean, if you were meeting someone in that capacity, it's not like you got to drive anywhere, you know, especially if you're expecting food, you know?
Yeah.
Especially if you're expecting food to be there. So you're expecting to be back pretty quickly. You're expecting to, you know, be there. So I have no idea what that picture is about. Maybe the family knows more than they're sharing. I don't know. I have no clue. I just hope for a safe return for any of them. It's really sad that they're having to deal with that and go through that.
I don't believe there's any cameras where he went missing. They were checking cameras like on the route he could have walked to his last cell phone ping, because it was like a couple blocks from right there was his last cell phone ping. And there was like a camera in the parking lot of the apartment complex where that's one of the last places he was seen.
Yeah,
was in the
at that
parking lot
2:45-ish time frame. Yeah, I think so. I'm pretty sure that's what that camera time is from.
Yeah, well, 2:44 was a Snapchat video to his sister of him walking the puppy through the apartment complex parking lot, which I would assume he would have been picked up by their camera too, their security camera and his own camera, you know, because he was taking a video.
Yes, 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 yes. All right. Well, hopefully he is found, and we are moving on to Idaho for topic. Viewer requested. Hang on. Trying to find one that does it. Has it like real big.
Oh gosh.
There we go. The man of the hour. The man of the hour. We talked about this briefly the other night, and so many people wanted us to keep digging into it and keep talking about it. So you know, we're gonna continue talking about it tonight, talking about the money aspects of it and our opinions and how we feel about it. You know what I mean? Scott Green, the man of the hour.
He is the man of the hour. He's made himself so important, hasn't he?
He has. He has. Yep, he really has.
So what about Green?
Nothing in particular that's new. So many people wanted us to dig into his connections, how he became the president, and apparently there's some really weird details around how the previous president of the university, it ended up becoming an opening.
Okay.
So I wanted to dig into that a little bit, talk through that a little bit, talk about the fact that, well, our viewers wanted us to talk about the fact that the 1122 house was his previous home. Why we think that the university bought that house, or accepted the house being given to them, and all things involved.
Okay.
I think since it's been brought up, and since we had the interview yesterday with the Gonsalves family,
on the interview room,
yeah, on the interview room, a lot of people are coming back to question, seeing that the families aren't happy, the families have questions and concerns, they feel like something is amiss here, something's not right here, you know, and it needs to be looked into.
Yeah, but I very much got the impression from their interview is that while they appreciate the public asking these questions and looking at all of this, it is not the right time for them to ask these questions. Their lawyer kept repeating over and over and over, they need to keep their eye on the ball. They need to keep their eye on the prize and make sure this prosecution is successful. And then the time will come where they address this in an official capacity. That is what I kept hearing repeated over and over on the interview room, is that timing is everything. And this is not something they are going to address right now. It's going to be after the trial.
Yeah, that they're gonna...
And that they will address it, which I assume means a lawsuit.
I mean, look, I think it's a smart tactic from the Gonsalveses. And as you guys can see here, right here, right, that is the video we're talking about. Yeah, I think they're trying to find out and have been suggested by their attorneys if what the turnout of this investigation and case is going to be to determine the direction they're going to go and how hard they're going to go with it, right? Because I don't think any attorney in the world could look at the Scott Green situation right now and not see a problem. It's impossible for this to be acceptable in any courtroom. Impossible.
Yeah, I agree.
He was a key piece of the evidence of the investigation, which he never should have been. Scott Green never should have been. Okay, he should have never been allowed in the room, in the war room once, let alone every day or twice a day. Never.
No, he shouldn't have.
But he was. So then why doesn't the gag apply? Why was this man allowed to put out a book talking about his interest and involvement in the case?
I don't know. But another thing mentioned in that interview is that none of the families are covered by the gag order. Only their lawyers are.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as a reminder, because I think we dug into that
before.
because
so many people have said the families are covered by the gag orders. They're not.
Yeah.
It is only their lawyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their lawyers just can't come out and make official statements.
I think what we're going to end up seeing, though, is going to be based on if the victims' families actually believe it's Bryan Kohberger or not.
Wait, what? What do you mean?
So, look, if the families believe it's Bryan Kohberger, then it's within their best interest not to come out and talk about every single detail in the investigation and case, okay? Now, if they don't and they feel like they have the wrong guy, or they don't have, maybe there was more than one person involved in this crime, then they would probably come out and speak more about the crime, about, the Idaho 4 massacre. Right now, it's a guessing game. It's a waiting game. And we say this every time before we go into any one of these topics that, look, we have no idea if Bryan Kohberger is guilty or innocent. We try really, 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 really hard to stay unbiased. We are not a guilter. We are not an innocenter or what is it? Pro-burger. We aren't a pro-burger. I am not a hamburger at all. And we are waiting on the evidence to figure out what our opinions are.
He's not a burger. He's a hot dog.
I am. Yeah, that's offensive. Okay, to call me a hamburger. Gosh. So I think it's in their best interest to wait.
Yeah.
The most vocal family has obviously been the Gonsalveses, which fine, that is 100% their right, and we back them. And we said this the other night that if they wanted to come on here and talk, they absolutely could, completely unbiased. But because they've been out, open, and talking in the way that they have, I don't think that they're going to be given any information in the investigation.
No.
I think if I had to guess,
Absolutely not.
think that the information that they have been given is, you just need to trust us. It's him, and we have the evidence to convict.
Yeah, I think they were being honest when they said they didn't have really any more information than us, other than what they dug up on their own in the beginning.
Yeah.
And like, they were integral in the beginning and dug up a lot of stuff. I think after that, they got cut off because they were so involved, and that's where the information stopped. And now I think that's partly why they want this trial to happen ASAP so badly, is because they want to see all of the evidence. They want to know what's there.
Yeah. They want to know if what they're being told is it.
Right. But I mean, look, one thing I'll say is, I understand their feelings, and I think they have every right to feel the way they feel. However, we can't live in a society where somebody suspected of a crime is treated badly, like intentionally. That's another thing that I saw discussed earlier today, like the whole fact that they must be shackled and all tied up, like Richard Allen. Like, the way we're seeing Richard Allen treated is awful. Nobody should be treated that way. Do we expect special treatment? No. But should they be treated worse? No. Absolutely not. They are innocent until proven guilty. They're not supposed to be treated badly.
Yeah.
And even if they are convicted, you still cannot treat them badly because they're still humans. Like, can we not be above that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you really want to be just like them? The people who hurt other people, I don't want to be like them.
Yeah.
And one thing that was said, like, okay, and I understand this. I totally get it. Okay. The Madeline Soto case is so disturbing and disgusting, and Stefan Stearns should rot. Okay. He's the worst of the worst, and I 100% believe he's guilty. But there's some body cam that's been coming out where a cop is talking to him in the car and he's transferring him. And Stefan Stearns is complaining about like it being cold or something like that. And the cop is super nice to him and respectful, and is like, I don't understand why they don't just at least give you a blanket. He turns on the heat or whatever. Something's like, he's making sure he's comfortable. But it's just like standard niceness. You know what I mean? Like being a nice human.
Sure.
And people are like, why is he treating him so nicely? They should be like, who cares about you? I'm going to, just turn the heat off and let you freeze back there.
I haven't seen
and think about what you've done. Like, you're a piece of crap.
And
like,
that was a cop?
What do you mean?
That was a cop that was interacting with him?
Yeah, that was being nice to him.
Good. I mean, that's commendable in my opinion.
Innocent till proven guilty.
Well,
even
it's not
if
even
he's
about that. It's specifically for cops in particular, because cops are not the judge or jury. They are there to enforce laws that are created by somebody else. They are just the enforcement. And I think a lot of cops get that twisted.
They let their own personal emotions take over, and they make decisions that they are not,
or it's like,
allowed to be made. Yes.
You know what I mean? That
yes,
I'm not only the one that protects and serves, I am also the jury and the executioner. And yeah. I agree. And yeah, it's not just about innocent till proven guilty, even though that's a big part of it. It's also just the fact that even if somebody is a convicted murderer and in prison, it still doesn't mean you get to abuse them. And it's just about being a good person. Yep.
Totally and that's not how our justice system works. So while I understand people's feelings towards criminals and towards people who hurt kids and towards people who murdered people, like I understand it, and you're entitled to those feelings, but that doesn't mean they should be acted on.
Yeah.
And you don't even know if this man is guilty to begin with anyway.
Right.
Not for a fact. Not for a fact. He
Yep.
hasn't had his day in court yet.
No, I agree. I agree 100%. Well, it's just not our place. It's just not our place. So.
Yep.
But
I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, going back into
I don't want a world of witch hunts, okay? I don't want to go back to those times where everybody's abused just because they're accused of a crime and everything's a witch hunt and there's no real trial. There's no real defense against false accusations. Like, I don't want to live in that kind of world. Not at all.
I mean, that's what our judicial system is there for, is to stop that.
That's what makes it great.
Yeah.
That's what makes our judicial system amazing.
Yeah.
Is the fact that
absolutely.
It's there to prevent that.
I agree.
Intentionally.
I absolutely agree. That's interesting that Google has been suggest our members videos first. That's awesome. I think that's why we've had a huge boost in members. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, okay, we got a little bit off topic there, but going back into the Scott Green topic. So why do you think that he claims he was handpicked to be brought over to run the university?
He wasn't handpicked.
Oh, absolutely. That's what he says. Absolutely.
In his
that
book,
people locally were suggesting and reaching out to him and, hey, this role is made for you. Okay, that's handpicked.
But it was like friends of his. It wasn't like somebody in a like super important role, like who's like, you know, I'll make sure you get in kind of thing. Well, I guess they kind of did.
Yeah, they did.
Actually, now that I'm remembering what's written in the book, they kind of did a little bit, actually.
He was handpicked, I'm telling you. So why was he handpicked to be the guy?
They claim it has to do with the bad finances and also the bad, like some of the reputation, like, so there's been some damaging things, okay, for the reputation of the University of Idaho that had happened over several years before he became president. You know, one was an SA case. Another one was a business deal gone bad about opening some kind of satellite in Boise, like satellite school, like some kind of, that was the U of I that they were going to open in Boise.
Okay.
And that deal went bad. And it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths when it came to the University of Idaho, and they weren't trusted when it came to business and money.
Mm-hmm.
But then also, the SA case, the professor who murdered a student, another case of a coach for a girls' team being pretty abusive. Like, there's several different things that happened that were headlines, major headlines, that were severely damaging the reputation of the University of Idaho. And also the president of the university, as what Green says in his book, is that it was this revolving door, that people were taking the position as the president of the University of Idaho and using it as a stepping stone to move on to something bigger and greater, and they weren't staying very long, and they didn't actually care about the success of this university. They only cared about their own success and moving up the ladder, you know, using it as a launching pad in their career.
Yeah.
And he is not doing that.
Oh, okay.
He's not doing that.
That's funny. I mean, sure, that sounds all nice and dandy and everything like that, but let's be real here. Anybody in any position has personal motive. Like it is what it is. Anybody that comes forward and says, "Hey, look, it's not about my growth and my income. I only care about your institution. I'd be like, all right, cool. This interview's done. Any other questions? Next, you know?
Right.
Because that's just not realistic. So that's interesting. I really need to read his book. I want to read it to get an insight into him. I doubt that he wrote that book, but
it started
some
3
of the
weeks.
details in there.
It started 3 weeks after the crime.
Yeah. So Scott C. Green took office as the 19th president of the University of Idaho on July 1st, 2019. President Green joins U of I as a highly accomplished executive with a career in global finance, operations, and administration. He is also a proud alumnus of the university, graduating in 1984 with a Bachelor of Science in Accounting. Born in Moscow, Green's family moved to Boise, where he graduated from Boise High School. Following his degree from the University of Idaho, the third-generation Vandal went to work for Boise Cascade Corporation. He went on to attend Harvard Business School and received a Master of Business Administration in 1989. Green worked for Deloitte and Touche as part of its accelerated career program from 1989 to 1994. He then worked in banking, serving in various management roles for Goldman Sachs and ING Barings. He published 2 books on the, Oxley Act of 2002, which reformed regulations around auditing and financial reporting. Green went on to leadership in global law firms, including service as CEO at Pepper Hamilton and as executive director at Wilmer Hale. He most recently served as the chief operating and financial officer. What? So he was the COO and the CFO for Hogan Lovells, one of the largest law firms in the world with annual revenues of over $2 billion. Green led all of the firm's worldwide operations, technology, conflicts, and financial functions. He has had global responsibility for more than 3,000 employees in more than 30 countries. The first non-lawyer to run an American Lawyer 100 law firm, Green was recognized as one of the top 50 big law innovators in the last 50 years by the American Lawyer magazine in 2013. A certified public accountant, Green was inducted into the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants Business and Industry Hall of Fame in 2006. He won the Institute of Internal Auditors Outstanding Contributor Award in 2004 and 2006. Green's commitment to the University of Idaho over many years has included service on the U of I Alumni Association's National Board of Directors, the College of Business and Economics Advisory Board, and the U of I Foundation Board. He is also a Vandal Scholarship Fund supporter. Scott and his wife, Gabriella, an interior design project manager, have 2 adult children, Nicholas and Christina. Interesting.
Those are some accolades, man. Or accolades, I mean. He's just an incredible man, isn't he? Such a catch. I'm just being sarcastic, but that is a lot. That is a lot. No? Like, he's done quite a bit with his career.
Yeah.
He truly has.
Yeah.
So, do you have any thoughts about his history, his work history?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about it. I've been in business my entire career, and I understand how some of those inner workings work when it comes to financials and everything of that nature. I'm surprised that he was able to get into Harvard Law. That must mean that he comes from money too. Normally, you have to have some kind of backing or connection to get into Harvard Business. So yeah, it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. The connections to this crime and Scott Green in this area with his book and everything else that has come since is questionable, man. It's a major question. And I know quite a few content creators out there like to bring up the which I think it's a good question. I'm not saying it's anything bad, but a lot of people have concerns with the $600,000 in the consultant money or whatever.
We had that issue when we did the follow the money video. Absolutely, that was a major concern of mine from the beginning. As soon as I saw that on Crime Circus's video about it, I was like, that is weird.
Yeah, my only thing though is he makes enough money that it's not even worth like risking your entire life to do that. So I don't think that would come from Green. I just wonder what it was for, is what I'm curious about. What was it for?
I mean, that's why Chris McDonough's wife is digging so hard into trying to find that breakdown. Like, what was the consultant's findings? It was for security. That's what they claim. It was all for security.
Yeah, I got
She wants the findings.
So
what did the consultants end up saying? Yeah,
we talked about the experience in the business world and how consultants work and everything else. And it's interesting because a lot of times with how manipulative that industry can be with subcontractors and experts and consultants, they are very particular when giving line item breakdowns for charges. And they normally work off of an hourly rate, not a per job rate. So, 600K is a lot of money. Okay. That is a lot of money. So I would be interested in understanding how big the team was that came to consult into that university. I'm interested in understanding what the areas that they suggest should be updated. And I hope that we see some kind of line item breakdown.
I really hope so too. I mean, from everything that I've looked up about it, is they can't really say no to that. That's not something they can deny doing. They can't be like, oh no, we're not going to give you a breakdown.
Well, they can say it doesn't exist. That it's a company that we trust and have used before, and we didn't ask for a line by line, financial breakdown. It's totally possible.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's totally possible.
So somebody, I know this question's been asked. Scott Green was a member of Kappa Sigma fraternity when he went to the U of I. When he went to the U of I.
All right. But yeah, I have some very big questions. I just have some huge questions around it. And I think that there are some answers that need to be answered. Honestly, if I was the Gonsalves, I would start attacking this stuff right now. I wouldn't wait until,
to be honest,
Bryan Kohberger. I wouldn't wait until you have the evidence, because here's the thing. It doesn't matter what the evidence says if the evidence and investigation was tainted before the evidence was gathered. So, like, look, I know that these victims' families want justice. They want to feel like they got justice because something super unfair happened to them that never should have happened. But is justice worth it in this way if you're not 100% sure that they have the right person? And every piece of evidence gathered, in my opinion, has been either manipulated and or tainted by not being handled and managed effectively. They use these big industry or these big law enforcement agencies. How much do you guys hear? Well, the FBI was involved. The FBI was this. The FBI was that. The FBI was not the lead of anything. Okay. Nothing. They were there as support. They didn't make decisions. They didn't lead anybody. They didn't suggest anybody go do this, gather this, do that, do this. They were there for support. Yep. So adding an FBI stamp might look good, like it means that it's a big deal,
right?
But the decisions were not being made by the FBI. I would probably feel a lot better about this evidence if the FBI led the investigation, but they didn't. Meaning every piece of evidence went through one agency. One. Moscow police.
I mean, I still wonder to this day, was the whole FBI showing up at Vargas's house, was that having to do with the TUI regulation where, you know, if you work for the feds, you can't just speak about what you did or what you know from your time working with the feds. Like, you have to be approved to talk. You have to get...
We looked that up in one of our videos.
Well, because it talked about the TUI letter for the IGG. And then we looked up, what is that? And we found the TUI regulation, which means the feds can hide whatever they want. They don't have to give over anything, even if it's demanded by a court. So we're kind of wondering, because it's been said Vargas did work for the FBI. She's one of the best in her field specifically, with IGG, doing the investigative genealogy. And we thought maybe her testifying in court wasn't approved by the feds, and that's why they showed up at her house. But then at other times, I kind of wonder, was she throwing them under the bus a bit too much? And they went there to shut her up.
Yeah, and
at the behest of Bill Thompson. And that also starts making me wonder, does Bill Thompson or the people in this town have some kind of connection to the local FBI agents in Idaho somehow, or ISP has that connection to them and they are doing the bidding with ISP and the local prosecutor? Are they one and the same, basically, because they'll do each other's dirty work?
Yep. And for everybody,
I'll be right back.
that is on here watching, I kept meaning to give the breakdown here. So I know that we are live and we are sticking to this podcast setup of going live. The response we've had has been absolutely incredible. It is the biggest response we've ever had in our lives, and the amount of support and people that want to sponsor and marketing and everything has been absolutely insane. It's literally the best thing we've done so far. But I want to remind people that under our videos section and playlist, we have 120 Idaho 4 related videos that we dig into in detail here. Everything from DNA to Kopaka connections to fraternity connections. We go into, I don't know why this one's in here. We go into Jack S. We touch on literally everything from 113 pieces of physical evidence issues to cell phone, GPS, fog data science, 4chan, the car, a little bit of everything. And we're going to be going back through all that stuff on here too, because we know that the people watching, it's different. I can see it in my analytics that the people who watch our lives are not the same people that watch our video. Well, except for a specific group. But yeah, check that out. I just posted it in the chat. So for anybody that's not a chatter, you can just hop in there right now at this timestamp and you will see it. I will also share it on our social media and everything. So it's easy access as well. But yeah, I found it really interesting, and we're definitely going to dive back into each of those things. Because again, I think as a lengthy amount of time that goes by, we start seeing these same questions get brought up again, right? And it's good to touch on them again because, you know, humans evolve, things grow, things change, and new information comes out, new details come out, new technology comes out. What's interesting is when this crime happened, and for those of you that don't know, is I am a network technology expert. So all things that connect with the network, and I can give a pretty solid breakdown of anything network related too. But that's my area of expertise. And we have dug into the cars technology. We've dug into the cell phone towers. But what's interesting is when this crime happened, there was a very limited amount of cell phone connectivity in that area. And since the crime up until now, they have made huge, overwhelming updates to that network locally. So it's going to be interesting if they're going to try to compare and contrast the network on November 11th of 2022 versus the network coverage today. I think that is something that needs to be looked into and or called out. Yeah, all of it. But I was focusing on this while Malia was talking about Vargas, but I think she gave a pretty good rundown of what the expectation is. Once you, if I'm, let's say the FBI calls me up, okay, and says, hey, Brendan, we want to use your technology experience to be an expert in one of our cases, one of our federal cases. And I say, yeah, cool. What's up? Let me know. And I go and do it. I am not allowed to use that same expertise contradicting them or without approval from them on another case. And we covered that in one of the videos on that playlist. So it's interesting. It's interesting to understand and wonder why they were so hot on Vargas, not to let Vargas chat, you know? It's interesting for sure. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, secret files can be stored on a Fire Stick for sure. Absolutely. Anything technology related can store whatever. I mean, you can take a Fire Stick and put a completely new operating system on that Fire Stick and use it for something completely different. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But you know, when it comes to Scott Green, I think we have some major problems here. I think we have some major issues in this area. I don't know where or why the problem has ended up coming to a head like this. I have no idea. I wish that the university just would have stayed out of it. It's not like Scott Green is some guy that's like, hey, I just grew up in a small town. I didn't know this is how small towns do it. It is what it is, right? The guy lived in New York. He literally left his family in New York or just outside New York to take over the Idaho University. And so he understands. One of his accomplishments was that he is he's a global businessman. All right. So he knows what's going on. He understands how investigations work. Why he felt confident conducting himself this way in one of the, if not the biggest criminal investigation we have ever seen, or the most eyes on it internationally, I don't know. I have no idea, you guys. None whatsoever. I have no clue. But it's interesting for sure. It's definitely interesting. So, and so let me see here. I think we had that and are good. Okay. I'm just trying to look through any other questions here. So, when it comes to the house,
I got an alert about Illinois Department of Public Health warning of botulism-like illness. Botulism.
That's weird. I gotta go there.
That is weird. Super, super weird. I'm not sure where Brendan left off. I don't even know 100% what botulism is. A bacteria. Rare poisoning. Okay, well, guys, that's super weird. But maybe look it up. Keep an eye out, because that's pretty scary. It was just a news network. Yeah, I don't even know that, to be honest. It was just a news network, you know, like you get just like news apps and stuff. That's super, super weird. I think the connections with the Idaho University are really, really important, though, and I understand why they're being dug into. And I honestly think that Steve has been dropping these hints from the beginning that something's up there, if I'm being honest. I think that he has been kind of keying us in without saying it outright. Yeah, it's just a CDC thing. It's just a news network. Like, it wasn't. They weren't sending out alerts. It was a news thing. It's just news.
Yeah, I got you. I was just trying to get a definition. When I don't talk, you're supposed to pick up the slack and talk.
Okay, well, it's a rare toxin-like thing. Bacteria. It's super weird. I don't know. It sounds like it's not been, like, it's not common. It's super rare, but there's been like an outbreak or something like that. I mean, I don't know where you left off, so I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about.
Caused by a type of poison.
I mean, it's caused by a bacteria, which causes like a poisonous-like effect. Sure, yeah. Spread by food, it looks like.
Interesting. Okay.
I keep seeing Botox in the chat. Maybe it's being spread by Botox.
Oh no. I just had Botox today.
Oh gosh. That would be terrible.
Yeah. But no, it was very vague what where I was leaving it. 23.
I mean, I don't even know what you were talking about at all, other than continuing to talk Scott Green. I mean, I know there's some people that have dug very, very, very deep into him, and oh, I think that was empty. And I think that there's more that could be looked into there for sure. I think that honestly, he's from the things that I've read that some state representatives, okay, have put out. He's on a lot of people's bad sides in Idaho. Like, there's quite a lot of representatives that don't agree with a lot of the things he's done.
Yeah, I think he was trying to force the purchase of the University of Phoenix or Phoenix, whatever, the online school. And you had representatives from the state calling him and saying, hey, don't do it, you know? But I was just looking up some details about the house because that was one of the specifics that people are still have questions about and who was guiding. So the president of the University of Idaho, who guided his university through the trauma of 4 ended students last fall, has a family connection to the property where the murders took place. Scott Green has given speeches, interviews, and press release statements since the ending of Kaylee Gonzalez, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Xana Kernodle in November of 2022. It is the grim reminder of the heinous act that took place there, President Green said in a news release announcing the demolition. While we appreciate the emotional connection some family members of the victims may have to this house, it is time its removal and to allow the collective healing of our community to continue. Property ownership documents available through Latah County shows Green's family owned the property from 1967 to 1973. So that's when it was very different. That was before 2 or 3 remodels. A deed filed with the county shows Coomer L. Green and Sandra L. Green bought the property at 1122 King Road on June 20th, 1967. A 2001 obituary, and I haven't verified any of this stuff, you guys. A 2001 obituary for Coomer Green shows he graduated from U of I in 1963 and then got his law degree from the school in 1969. The family moved to Boise in 1969. The Greens later divorced. The divorce judgment lists the mortgage on the King Road property at $11,500.
That was the mortgage?
That's what it says.
11,000?
Yeah.
Is that typical for back then? In 1969?
I have no idea, but maybe I'm just not sure. That's something I would need to dig into a little bit more. Further deeds available through Latah County Assessor's Office shows Green sold the King Road property in 1973. The house has gone through multiple renovations and remodels in the decades since. Moscow City permits show the house originally had 2 floors, but the owner added the lower floor in 2000. The property changed hands several times before ending up with the company that owned it at the time of the crime, listed as an LLC based in Colorado.
So in 1969, the average cost of a home was $25,000, $25,600.
Okay.
And that's in the US, and then it specifies the Midwest for some reason. $27,600.
Interesting.
So like that's the low end. It sounds a lower end, but it doesn't sound
completely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah. After the crime, the owner donated the property to the University of Idaho, which we know, which made the decision to tear down the house. Idaho or 4 News reached out to the University of Idaho spokesperson about the connection and why it was never disclosed. Communications director Jody Walker said in an email that President Green's father owned a number of properties in Moscow in the 1960s and early 70s. 1122 King was one of those, and it was sold decades ago. 4 News now has asked if President Green ever lived in the home and why the university didn't mention this previously. And that is interesting why they didn't mention it previously.
It is. And then it was just gifted to him. Super weird.
Yeah. Walker said Green has no recollection of the house and that his dad owned and sold a number of properties over the years. When 4 News now asked why this wasn't shared earlier, Walker said, "We did talk about it briefly early when the president became aware his dad had owned it, but we did not feel a property he sold 50 years ago was highly relevant. In an interview, so Green is a graduate of U of I who went on to earn his MBA from Harvard Business School. In an interview with the U of I Argonaut upon his hiring, Green remembered running around the Memorial Gym at U of I with his grandfather, who was the athletic director at the time. So interesting. You know, one of the major questions that's brought up asks why there was never any money offered for information on this crime from the university or police.
A reward.
Yeah.
I agree. It's odd.
I think it's weird too.
It's really odd. Especially it was going on a month and everybody thought the case was going to go cold. People were getting very concerned.
Why they didn't take that 50 grand out of that $1 million and offer it up as a reward is really strange to me.
Yeah, even 10,000 or 20,000 or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's something we've never talked about before either, is the reward factor. It is strange. Normally in a situation like that where you have nothing, no information, no details, no anything, normally a reward is offered or suggested.
I would say that's typical too.
Yep.
So I don't know. It is a big question I've had and I've thought about in the past.
Jeez, we have a whole bunch of views on this one. Normally at this time we don't have that much. It's like double. You guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit that like button on any platform you're on. I think we're on how many tonight? 5, 6 of them. Hit that thumbs up button, hit that rating button, leave a comment under the video when we're not live, right? So the comment section, it does do something, not a lot in the chat, but the comments that help are the ones that are under the video. That engagement helps the video get seen more and more frequently. So keep doing that. And you know, I think we've like picked up 5 grand in subs in the last couple days, and it's all because of you guys. It's all because of that engagement and quick comments and conversation. And I know most of our viewers can't catch this time, and hopefully there will come a time where we can do it midday. So you know, because I bet out of the 25,000 subs we have, I would say more than half are international. You know,
there's a lot of international people. There are. And yeah, we have picked up like 5,000 subscribers. It's great.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's good for sure.
But yeah, I have heard that the families did want a reward and they wanted to put up flyers, but they were told no by authorities. That was a good call out. That reminded me. I have heard that. And I actually think that Steve Gonsalves has said that in an interview, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he mentioned
allowed to say no. I'm pretty sure that if one of my family members is a victim of a heinous crime like this, like police isn't going to tell me if I can offer a reward. Good luck. I'm just going to get it out there that much harder. Really?
I don't know.
I would.
I don't know. I would have to do some searches to see if there's any laws in Idaho about it. It doesn't seem possible. Money. I know it doesn't seem possible for them to be legally allowed to tell you no.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, looking to see if there's any connection with the other homes that were broken into that we talked about last night, ownership. You guys. And
that is a great question.
It definitely is a good question, and like to draw a connection that maybe the crime wasn't done by somebody locally. I mean, it's it's possible, and it's worth looking into, I think. So can you write that down?
I took a screenshot of it. Yeah.
Okay,
I got
perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it's worth it looking into. I can't check right now, but I definitely will. And no reward.
Really odd.
It is. And we've been chatting a little bit on the Discord today about the red Mustang and coming back to that. I've never looked into that completely. I know it's a concern and question that has been brought up due to the conversation that we have, that actually I think it was on Sleuthy Goosey's channel, but she has an interview posted talking about a family who lives right down the street, and they're talking about a red Mustang that was being cleaned by bleach, like they were bleaching it out.
Yep.
Weird.
And that family is really weird. That girl talked about totaling a white Hyundai Elantra that night.
Yes, she did. Yep.
There's a lot of weird things in that interview. But I thought Sleuthy took it down.
I don't think so.
I thought Sleuthy Goosey took it down. That video, but
I don't think so. But
okay. Well, hopefully not, because it was really interesting.
Yeah, I can definitely check for sure. And it's worth looking into, looking at. But yeah, do you want to give the rundown for the members?
Yeah, so we're about to switch over to the members here in just a minute. We're going to drop the membership link in case you're not a member and you want to join. It's just where we hang out, you know, it's like a green room after the show. We just chat, get more personal. We'll still talk about true crime, but we might talk about other things too. But yeah, it's a good time. So definitely stay and join the members live if you can. And it normally goes about 30 minutes. I know it gets a bit late, but we like to talk.
We just like to talk and talk. We get most of our views not live though, so it's still worth doing it live. And then most of our other viewers, for those of you on the rewatch crew, hello. We've been averaging quite a bit of views,
and we appreciate you. Even if you don't catch us live, we appreciate you just as much.
Absolutely, it does exactly the same for the show. So I would go live even if we only had 5 people on here. All right, let me see here. So members only. Okay, I just needed to be able to share that. Will you share the members link for anybody?
Oh, and yes, I can do that. And just so you know, members' lives are only going to be after the true crime talk show. Can you move that picture off the screen? So the true crime talk show, it should also say on the thumbnail when we're doing the true crime talk show. That's the only time we're going to have members lives. When it's Thought Riot Podcast, we're not going to have a members live after, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Because Thought Riot Podcast is always going to go a bit later, typically, than the true crime talk show.
And we got a whole bunch of new members too. So a whole bunch of people will be able to watch it, even if they aren't engaging in the conversation. So welcome all the new members. I think we just hit like 400 something.
All right. So here is the members link. I'm about to post it in the chat. And if you can't afford a membership, no worries. We give out a bunch of memberships every month. So most likely, if you catch lives and you comment and you support the channel, you'll get a chance to catch one for free because you'll get a membership gift. Yeah, just make sure you have the gifting turned on, which you can also do through that members link. Now it is a bit tricky, especially depending on what kind of device you are on. Just look for around your screen like a little 3-dot button. And then you should have like a gifting settings somewhere in that menu that pops up. You got to look around a little bit because every device is different and YouTube does not make it easy. I don't know why. They could make that a bit easier. Finding like the gifting settings and all the member stuff. Like it's not very seamless across platforms and devices and everything. So they could fix that. But
yeah, I agree. So you posted the members link?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to post it one more time there, and then I will post this one here. And one more time with the Discord invite, because every single time we are on, every single time we're done with one of the videos, we have somebody emailing us and asking for the Discord link, which is great. If you don't see it, or for whatever reason the Discord link doesn't work, just reach out to us on any of our platforms and we will get you going. So,
well, Elser, we're not really doing premieres anymore since every show is live now. So if you see us on and there's an active chat that you can chat in, we're live.
We might do premieres again one day, you guys. I don't know. I just know that you know, we were having to deal with some manipulation of visibility and things like that. And so the lives, as you can see, based on the sub growth, you know, it doesn't get affected the same way. It only gets affected with visibility while being live. So like the viewers that are on here currently while it's live will be reduced, but not after.
It's insane how much people try to manipulate.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for renewing, Heather. You know we love you. Thanks for being a member. And Debbie, brand new Thought Rioter. Welcome to the crew.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Welcome. Super stoked to have you here, and we appreciate you. Thank you. All right, you guys, I think I got it all worked out here, and we are going to be making the switch here soon in just a sec.
You take so long.
Well, I had to do some things because I was lagging today. I don't think I ever turned on the commercials or whatever for this live, with no big deal. We get most of the views are after the fact, so I should probably just do it that way permanently. You know how many people would be super happy if there were no commercials on the live and I just turned them on after?
People would love that.
Yeah.
I have heard
and
that.
Then I can promote that. If you don't want commercials, you come on the live.
Good point.
Yep.
Yeah, you should do that. We should do that. Oh, Cheryl Butler, thanks for renewing your membership. You know we appreciate you. You're a longtime supporter, just like Heather. We love you.
Indeed.
I have heard that when people view the stream on their TVs that I get blocked by the chat because of the side of the screen I'm on. I have seen people talk about how to fix that. So I think there is a fix, so you guys know.
There definitely is.
Are you ready to switch over?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for it to go live so that it actually pops up here. Okay. All right, you guys, that is it for the True Crime Talk Show, brought to you by Thought Riot Podcast. My name is Brendan, one of your hosts.
And I'm Malia. Thanks for being here tonight, guys. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and we will see you tomorrow.
Yes, thank you.
Same time.
So, yeah, same time tomorrow. And yeah, your favorite true crime and criminal culture talk show.
See you in a minute, members. Everybody else have a great night.